Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker is Geoff Wilson. Geoff Wilson is an acclaimed sports strategist who has diverse knowledge in understanding strategic planning, sports marketing, and fan engagement. Geoff consults for a variety of high-profile global sports federations. During this presentation, Geoff is going to share his knowledge about fan engagement and brand loyalty. Fan engagement and brand loyalty mark those keywords. And he will discuss on how rights holders and brands can leverage on this aspect of fan engagement. So, Geoff, welcome back. Welcome to our summit, and thank you for accepting to speak at the summit. The floor is yours. The attendees will be listening to you attentively because this is a very important subject for them, especially those that are in the federation who are rights holders. They want to know how to leverage on fans and the brands as well. We have some brands here who are also watching this event. They will want to know how they can leverage on the fans, because usually as you would speak, as you are the expert, you'll be telling them how they can leverage on the fans to get what they want from sponsoring a sport. So thank you very much. And the stage is yours now. Thank you very much, Geoff. Bye.
Thank you so much for those kind comments. I'm absolutely delighted to be here at the first International Virtual Sports Summit from Botswana. I just think this is amazing. One thing that brings us together is sport. And I just think this is a truly amazing thing that we can be part of. As you can hear from my accent, I am from Belfast in Northern Ireland. And even though those are lovely words, I am no expert. I'm just a very keen sports fan who has been to now 89 countries around the world doing different consultancy on sports, marketing, strategy, and fan engagement. So let's get stuck into it. I want to touch, first of all, on the subject of fan engagement. And this is a model that I created along with my fellow colleague, David Fowler. So David and I, who will be on your session at some time as well, we created this model in 2016. And what we found was you've got match day and non-match day. You've got on-site and off-site. And what we found is many people were engaging fans on match day at the site, on match day at the stadium. Point number 4. That might be fan zones. That might be entertainment inside the stadium for the fans. But what we found then, well, what about engaging fans on match day, but if you're not at the stadium, you're not on site? So for example, that is point 3, the green box. And that is all about live streaming of the games. That's about digital content, behind the scenes content in the build up to the game and including the game. Then we thought, well, you have non-match day at the site. That is the orange box. And that's all about stadium tours, museum tours, or events that you organize at your stadium, at your site, at your venue. And then the last, which for me is probably the least operated, is the yellow box, where it's non-match day and you're not at the venue, the stadium, or you're basically off-site. So that might be running a community program, a 12-week program in your local community, connecting with the fans. That might be regarding maybe bringing a player or a manager out to a local hotel for a Q&A, a question and answer event. And this is what we felt really when David and I did our research, was a model that people, that sports that you could maybe look into. So what are you doing on match day at your stadium, the blue area? What things are you doing to engage the fans, the fan zones, the quality of food and beverage, merchandising, entertainment, music? But what are you doing on match day when the people who are not at the venue? Let's think, sometimes people in different parts of Africa, Arsenal is a big team, the Gunners. Now, not everybody will be able to go to the Emirates to watch the live game. In fact, more people will be Gunners fans who will not be at the stadium on game day. So what is happening in that space on game day to engage those fans, to bring them closer to the live action? So content on social media, live streaming. And then the other areas, like for example, in the Orange Box, non-match day on site, I went to Barcelona Football Club and I did a stadium tour, I did a museum tour. It not only generated income for Barcelona, but it also allowed them to host me as a fan in their stadium. And again, then what are you doing to connect with your fans when you've got no event on, when you're not at your stadium? So it's coming outside of your environment and going into the community to connect with fans. So think about 12-week coaching sessions. Think about Q&A events. So all of this is really where you need to be as your sports organisation. Do not just think on match day at the stadium. That is very important, but it's these other areas I want you to start to think of. And visually, I want you to put 2 or 3 fan activities in each of these boxes. And you'll see at the centre, there is a digital platform. How do you, when the fans are at these different activities, are you capturing their email address, capturing what they're doing so that online, digitally, you can create a stronger and a closer relationship? Now, Zhao will be able to zoom in on these areas, but have you conducted an analysis of your fans on match day? Think of yourself as the fan. Don't think of yourself as the club or the federation. Put yourself in the shoes of the fan. And as Zhao brings these up, think about it. A few days before the ticketing, before the game, you buy your ticket. You maybe print it out. Then on game day, on match day, you travel to the stadium. You're maybe checking who's the starting 11 on your phone. You're maybe looking at the train schedule. Then you arrive at the stadium. You maybe attend a fan zone. You maybe then look to get quality food and beverage. Remember, if you go to a stadium and the quality of the food and beverage is not great, you'll not buy it next time. And that's reduced money. So make sure the quality of the food is high so that more people will buy it and they'll buy it every time. Then you go to your seat. The match kicks off. Then you have entertainment inside the stadium. Now, what does this mean? Singing sections where you bring the noisy fans together with drums, with flags, and you create that carnival atmosphere. Then at halftime, and remember, halftime, by the time you leave your seat, you only have a window of 6 or 7 minutes. What are you doing in terms of half time to serve more food and beverage quickly, sell merchandising quickly with a good range, but even keep the toilets clean. What? I hear you say, yes, you will have a clean toilet in your house, so you should have a clean toilet in your stadium, because that's what is expected, and you should expect that as well. Then you end the game, you exit the stadium. Have you ever felt and been in the fans' journey? How easy is it to exit the stadium? And then you travel home, but you will look on your social for highlights, comments, after match comments and views. You will find this out on social. So you may say, well, Geoff, that's fine, but come on, where can we make an impact? Well, you can. Let's look at buying a ticket. Have you ever identified the amount of times it takes and how long it takes to buy a ticket? Can you do it online? Or is it only at the stadium? Can you buy online, stadium, and at your sponsors' more areas? What about the process? We have all been on Amazon, and Amazon now is 2 clicks or even 1 click, and you've purchased the product. When I was at the Irish Football Association, I did a piece of work on the number of steps before you entered the online ticketing to when you left, and there was 9 steps. 9 steps. Too long. So how, as marketeers and business people, can we reduce the number of steps? Traveling to the stadium. Can you provide great social content? You're starting 11. Behind the scenes content. If you look at Man City, go onto their Instagram, you will see a video of the changing room. Behind the scenes content. When you arrive at the stadium, can you have a welcome team? Again, when I went to Manchester City, they had volunteers. They weren't paid, volunteers with welcome team who were trained and just simply said, welcome to the Etihad Stadium. Go over this way to get to your ticket, to get to your seat. A welcome team. How is it nice? How well is it to be just simply welcomed? You're all welcome on this conference. But how simple is that to feel that you're wanted? Attend the fan zone. Have you a fan zone? Sometimes it can and cannot happen with space. But think of small-sided games, penalty kick, the quality of the food and beverage. Again, I want to talk about Man City. I went with my son, and one of the welcome team had a ball, just a football, and he played football with me and my son, and then somebody else joined us, and it was as simple as that. There was no goals, nothing. But the welcome team said, hello, you're welcome. What's your name? Hello, Geoff. Do you want to play a bit of football between Geoff, myself, and your son, who's called Max? And Max just thought this was great. And what was the cost? The price of a ball and a welcome person. The quality of food and beverage. Have you tasted your food? Geoff, it's okay. Not good enough. Okay is not good enough. And what about the range of food that you offer? Then when you go to your seat, have you got friendly and knowledgeable stewards that know where you've got to come in and where your seat is so you can get to your seat quickly? Then A good marketeer will take the noisy fans and put the noisy fans together, allow them to bring in drums, flags, and they work together to create the noise, create singing sections. In Northern Ireland, we had, we're called the Green and White Army, GAWA, GAWA. And we basically had these singing sections, and we had songs. We're not Brazil, we're Northern Ireland. And all of these songs with some sort of a history or connection. And that really made for the atmosphere. At halftime, the quality of your food and beverage, but it must be served quickly with clean toilets. The end of the game, stewards getting you out. If anybody has seen Disney, they have lots of stewards getting you out and telling you how to get out quickly but safely. And the last area that you can make an impact is when you travel home, providing clips from players. How did the game go? Maybe highlights if you can do that with your streaming rights. Maybe other unique content from people, ex-players. So these are the things that you can make an impact, but it starts with scoping out the fan's journey and then seeing how you can improve it. Why do you want to do that? Well, it's so easy to stay at home. It's so easy to get a cup of tea in your house. It's so easy to be able to sample the atmosphere with a surround sound audio. It's so easy to get some snacks and you're at the comfort of your own chair. So organizations, sports organizations like us have to fight against that, staying at home, to bring them to the stadium. Why? Because you want to increase the atmosphere. Look at during the pandemic, people weren't allowed to go, and the atmosphere and the whole just was not the same product. So create the atmosphere. You want to create a sense of community and a sense of belonging. You want to generate income, ticketing, food and beverage. You want to make it a great experience. So I'm going to touch on 2 case studies quite quickly. Orlando City in the MLS, and this is one that I went to. And what they did is they created a fan zone in the center of Orlando, and they created a fan zone up at the stadium. So in this is the fan zone downtown. Budweiser or Bud Light here was one of the sponsors. They had music, food. People are starting to wear the purple color. So that's another interesting thing, getting people to wear the same color during your games, a sea of green, a sea of orange, a sea of purple. And what they did is they then marched up to the stadium. They marched up maybe 1 mile from the center to the stadium, 1 mile. They had drums. They had a band, and all of that people wanted to go to the downtown fan zone to be part of the fans' march up to the stadium. And then at the stadium, as you can see, there are some vans that had merchandising and that had different food outlets. Different food were being offered, but quality food that people could purchase. Then when you looked at the sponsors in this case, it was Ford Motor Car. They were giving you something to do, but they were capturing data. Can you do that? Can you, in your fan zone with your sponsor, capture data that you can then email the fans? Thanks for coming. Please come back. Thanks for coming. Here's a video. Thanks for coming. Here's an online shop link. Thanks for coming. Here's what we are doing in the community. Data capture. This is one example. This happens to be Audi. This is actually my son. And the girl in the white is holding like a gun. And this is a speed gun. And she is measuring how hard my son is kicking the ball. Well, my son loved it. He kicked the ball, kicked the ball, kicked the ball to see how hard he was doing it and if he could better his previous score. Simple activity. Then outside they had places for food and drink. Here, beer was served. That may not happen in yours, but it could be soft drinks or water. And then with my son, they had in the fan zone, you could collect. These were by sponsors. You blow them up, and when you hit them, they make a noise. So can you imagine several thousand people doing this in the build-up to the game? It created a great atmosphere. And that was supported by the singing section behind one of the nets and massive flags, all before halftime. And then these were unfurled up again. All things that the fans wanted. Fans led singing, fans led banners. Then the merchandising, again, look, all in purple. But look at the range that you see: child range, adult range, leisure range, the playing kit. And all of these could literally be just put down the shutters and they were on wheels. So you can move these merchandising pop-up shops anywhere. So there was flexibility. Now, the second I want to bring is Anderlecht in Belgium. And the reason why I picked these two is because they both have the colour purple. So Anderlecht, I meant to say, first of all, that Orlando, all of the ticketing was on the mobile phone for Orlando. You bought the ticket on the phone, and that also, with your phone, gave you access. Now, for Anderlecht, it was printed out tickets, and this is the printed out tickets you print at home. Now, for me, I think this is good that they are doing that, but I just found it very busy. You know, I see Juniper, I see the stadium, I see the sponsors, I see, you know, the QR codes, but I really have to look to see what date, what time, and where my seat is. The important information for me. So I just felt this was a little bit busy. Then in Anderlecht, outside the stadium, there is no fan zone, 0 fan zone. But what happens? Other outlets are outside the stadium and they are making money. And that made me think, is Anderlecht getting any commission off these because it's in the public road? I would doubt it. And everybody will be full of food before they go into the stadium, and that reduces the food opportunities for Anderlecht. So I just felt this did not work. They were not commercializing this opportunity. What they did really well is they created these membership cashless cards. So in the stadium, and especially now with COVID, the only way that you could buy a merchandising or buy some food was through this card. Why is that important? Because I had to give the club my email, my telephone number, my name, my address, but they also found out from me what food I bought, what merchandising I bought, so they're able to not only communicate to me, but they're also able to use this data to see where they need to maybe increase the number of burgers or chips because of sales of food, merchandising, etc., etc. Very clever. And this is an example where this individual, he just puts the card over this card machine and that debits his money off this card. This card is linked to their bank account. So you ask for a beer, they tell you the price, you scan it, and that money comes directly out of your bank account that is linked to this card, all cashless. What I thought they did really well, this time they had 2 singing sections behind both goals. And they knew when each other was singing. So they were maybe saying one thing, asking a question, and the other were answering it live during the game. And it was great. It really added to the whole experience. But at halftime, no entertainment. 0 entertainment. At halftime, the queue for the toilet was huge. The queue to get a drink was massive. So I did not get a drink because I've only 15 minutes. The queue, the line of people looking to buy was so big, I didn't, so they lost out a sale from me because they didn't move people quickly. The queue was too long and the entertainment was just so minimal. And the toilets were not clean. There must have been 10 urinals and 2 basins to wash your hands. It just not was right. And yet I'm telling all of you this negative experience compared to the positive one of Orlando. So these are things you need to really look into. Now, this session that I'm doing is a power session. It's just top line thoughts. So I want to give you some final thoughts. Conduct an audit of your fans' experience. Be in their shoes. Buy your ticket. Go with friends and record each of your moments. Think about everything from the quality of food, how you get into the stadium, talk to a steward. Are they educated enough and knowledgeable in terms of some information? Halftime entertainment, exiting the stadium, content on their digital channels. Think of all of those 5 or 6 areas. As the model that David and I produced, do not focus just on fans on match day. It's more than that. Take the example of Arsenal. They will have 50,000 to engage in the Emirates, but they might have 50 million worldwide. So the numbers are just huge that do not go. So you need to engage with them regularly. Consider the fans' journey. Transport, outside the stadium, inside, halftime, going home. People would say to me, Geoff, but outside the stadium has got nothing to do with us. The answer to that is yes, but it's part of the experience. And that experience must be great. So how can you work with the transport people to improve the number of buses going to your stadium and leaving your stadium on game day, as an example? And learn from others. I've given 2 very brief examples and very, very top line. But go and meet other people. Go and talk to other clubs, federations, and learn from them and adopt it. And when you've done that, create your strategy. And that strategy is about 4 or 5 areas. So number 1, research. Do a fan survey. Talk to the fans. What is it like going to our games? What is good and what would you improve? Not only an online survey through the likes of SurveyMonkey, but do focus groups one-to-ones, 1 to maybe 10 people. Find out what the experience is like. I think you would be surprised. Staff research, ask your staff what is good, or where is the heartaches or the challenges or the issues that fans are having, because they will know. Industry research, go research other clubs, other federations. Then bring together a team. This might be a team of volunteers if you do not have the people in your club or federation. And this has been done in other sports that I've worked in, for example, basketball. Bring together a team of really clued in, knowledgeable people who've got an interest to improve. Create the plan. Set an objective with an owner, with a timeline, with a budget and the resources. But those ideas, think you don't have to do everything. Think, how can you do something like the Man City, a welcome person with a ball? There wasn't even a net. So what can you do that's really simple to implement? Maybe it's a local busker, somebody who's good at singing, and you provide them a space outside the stadium to entertain people when they come in. Maybe it's about them, once you've got your plan, you've got to implement and you've got to monitor it. And then you've got to evaluate it. Is the plan doing what I want done? Is the plan increasing merchandising, food and beverage ticketing? Is it increasing the overall experience and the happiness of your fans? And then promote that success. Today I was on a call with the Asian Football Confederation, and we give them an example of a federation who put in place a growing attendance program where they had development officers going into the community, engaging the fans right the way through, both at the venue, not at the venue, game day, non-game day, and engaging the community groups, schools, community organisations, and improving the overall experience at the stadium, face painting, entertainment and music. And the results that they did in a small association were amazing, absolutely amazing. And here's the interesting, the people who seen the biggest growth were not those that were winning on the pitch. The people that seen the biggest growth were actually the people that were getting beat regularly. What was the difference? Well, the difference was they had somebody focused on engaging the fans. They had improved the fan experience on game day, and they were really putting in some really innovative and creative ideas. So if they can do it, so can you. Now, these are my Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Every day I post up an article on sports business and sports marketing around about 12 o'clock. So please follow me on those, not for the sake of just following Geoff Wilson. That's not what I'm saying here. But to share learning together. So the article that I post, you might get something from it, learn from it, and then implement it. Follow me to learn together, because I will also learn from you. Now, I would be really grateful if you can actually tweet out or post on Instagram one thing that you have learned from this presentation. And I would be even more so to ask you to put in one action point. Now, why am I saying that? Well, number one, and I'm coming to the end, if you are saying that's one thing I learned, that's good to share with your following and with my following. one thing you have learned from this presentation. And one thing that you're going to implement means you have spent your time listening to me. Imagine that's good value for money if you take one idea and you actually implement it in your organization. Then this has been even more worthwhile. So that's me. Please do that. I'm going to stop sharing now. It has been great to talk to you all. Hopefully you got something from that, and I wasn't too quick with my accent. I think this session is maybe just a couple of minutes over, but I'm available now for questions. So I'm just looking. Zhao has put a question. Can the examples you gave be replicated for all sports? Yes and no. It depends whether it's an indoor sport. You can do more, activities compared to an outdoor because rain and different things might affect it. But in the main, there are a lot of things. The kiss cam, doing something, giving a pizza out to one line of people, those sorts of things can all be done. But I would suggest that you get something unique to your club, something unique to your sport, and really use that as a hook for fan engagement. What do I mean by that? In ice hockey, you buy a puck for $1, and then you throw the puck that's got a number on the back of it into the ice. So everybody throws it, and the closest puck to the center wins a prize. In football terms, it might be a penalty kick competition, crossbar competition. It might be a kids' festival played before the game, and they stay to watch the game after. So it all depends. So any questions that you would like? Zhao, from your side, any questions? Okay, Taboo has put one in. Please advise us on how rights owners and sponsoring brands should sync their activations. Great question. So what we did is we sat down with the sponsor and said, as the rights owner, the Irish FA, what are you looking to achieve? What are your objectives? Once we knew the objectives, then we created some activation around. So let me give you one quick example. When we were with Vauxhall at the Irish FA, the Vauxhall wanted to do a unique money cannot buy prize that they would promote in the media. So it was all about awareness. So what we did is we came up with 11 fans playing against 11 fans on the National Stadium pitch, managed by two legends from the past. In other words, be it in the shoes of a player. And we got a radio partner involved, and the publicity that we got on the back of that, the feel-good factor from the fans to the sponsor was massive. So hopefully that's everything. I would like to thank you for listening to me. Please follow me. Please do take something away and activate. And I wish you a great day and a great week.